everybody, it's Lisa from Halifax Oasis. I'm here today interviewing Mr. Robbie Smart, who is a Halifax County Board of Supervisors. What would I call you? Supervisor? Mr. Supervisor?
People call me supervisor. Robbie works well.
Okay, all right. And we're going to talk about, of course, the Board of Supervisors, some future things about Halifax County, the election, committees, and all kinds of good things. So first of all, thank you for giving me the time and talking to me.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, and let's just jump straight in with this here. We now have a complete, I would say seismic maybe, a shift in the composition of the Board of Supervisors after the election. You have 2 new members.
We do.
And one, and of course, changing of positions as far as chair and vice chair. Tell me what it was like in your first work session you had prior to the first meeting.
The first work session, I was pretty, especially the beginning of it, it was pretty benign. You know, we were there listening to our attorneys put on an orientation, you know, and I thought they did a good job.
Tell me what the orientation consisted of.
They covered our roles and responsibilities of supervisors, really what we should and shouldn't do, what's covered in state code, what is it, and the role of the county administrator. And then we went into some legal stuff. I'm trying to remember the 2 speakers. One's about how to treat county employees, how not to treat them, and who does that. And I'm trying to remember FOIA. We spent a good deal of time covering FOIA, Freedom of Information Act.
So since you have experience and history already being a supervisor, did you learn anything new?
Did I learn anything new? It was a great refresher. There was a couple of things. I'm trying to remember what they were now.
Because it sounds like in general it's kind of HR related, policy related.
It was. I think Ron quickly understood there had been some concerns there in the last year. That was probably drove some of that. Mm-hmm. And there were a couple of things I can't remember.
Okay.
The lawyers heavily suggested we all get a county phone. I'm a little bit against that. But yes, and the only difference is my phone is FOIA-able. I know that if I use it for county business. So what they wanted us to do was get a county phone and only use the county phone for county business. I don't know that I'm going to carry 2. I've had employers through the years try to give me an extra one. I've always used my personal phone because I'm too lazy to carry 2. But in this case, I agreed, and we'll see how that works. But my theory is I'm going to be out with this one. Somebody's going to call, and I'm going to want to finish the conversation or send a text or an email or whatever, and I don't want to wait, and I will, quote unquote, contaminate this phone. But, you know.
Right. I understand.
Oh, well.
So it sounds like just trying to draw a line for any.
In my mind, don't do anything that you shouldn't do, and you'll be okay. Sure, you can look at my phone. It's not locked. You can look at it.
Well, and you always want a trail too.
Yeah,
that's what I learned as a counselor. Exactly right. Document.
And this is going to sound badly, but I worked for a national intelligence agency for 15 years. And I'm going to tell you, if you don't want anybody to know it, do not type it. I don't care if it's email or text, do not type it. Speak it. And if you think somebody's listening to you, which is a big fallacy, they really can't listen to all the phones in the world. So most of the time you're safe. But if you think somebody's targeting you, don't speak it in person. Speak it in person only. You know.
Okay, so you went through some orientation, basic training, HR stuff. Then what happened?
You know, there was one member I thought wanted to, we were supposed to go into executive session, and this is where we got a little bit touchy because...
Wait a minute, is executive session the same thing as closed session?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
All right.
Where the public couldn't be there.
Right.
State code's very narrow on what you may discuss.
You're going to kill me. I forgot to turn that damn microphone on. We got to start over.
Oh.
Shit. I did this last time. Because the battery dies so quick, I always turn it off immediately. So that means we've got volume on this one. I might see. I don't like the I don't
You
like,
just gotta
I
learn
don't
to
like
read
the
lips.
sound on that. I'll pick up the sound from the first question. So let's restart it, but
Okay.
at the second part. So it sounds like, no. Tell me what happened after you went through all the HR and training, FOIA and all that stuff. Then how did the work session
We
go?
were supposed to transition to executive or closed session, but we were running out of time. I was a little concerned because the state code is very narrow about what you can and can't talk about in closed session. It says what you may. It doesn't say you shall, you must, says what you may. And I think the idea was they wanted members to be able to, there'd been some tension last year. They wanted members to say whatever they wanted to say, which I didn't disagree with that, but at the same time, we can't, I feel like we should just do it. Just ask us questions.
Was someone mediating this or leading
Yes,
this?
yes, it was being led by our attorney.
The attorney, okay.
I felt like we should just do it in open session, but we were gonna talk about that with the attorney, but we were reaching the end of the day and the hangries were coming in. And I just said, I mentioned to Ron, just said hangry. I said, it's probably a bad time to get into sensitive subjects with the hangries approaching. And he agreed, and so we said, we'll do that at a later date.
Okay, so y'all haven't been able to hash out any of the past?
No,
events?
and I'm willing to answer any questions here or anywhere else. But at the same time, you know I'm fairly religious, and you know the Lord tells you to look forward, not backward. Okay, and so if they want me to answer questions, fine, but I don't want to spend a lot of time. We're a new board. Let's go forward. Okay.
Now, maybe you're more of an expert, but I always thought it was, if you don't remember your past, you're condemned to repeat it.
That's
Isn't that
actually
biblical?
No, that's not biblical. That was I remember it was I can't remember the philosopher or whatever that said that, and it's misquoted. I'm trying to remember. It's not those who don't study the past are condemned to repeat it, or something like that. It's different from what everybody thinks, you know. But we need to go forward. You know.
True, I agree, but I do think you can't just cut off the past.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if two people go into a room harboring resentments from the past and they act like it never happened and try to move forward, there's always going to be that lingering. It's like a wound. You have to clean it out.
I understand. I will disagree a little bit for me, but it's because of where I came from. You know, I flew for the Air Force, so I went through aviator training, and that's a dog-eat-dog world. Okay, even when you're out there and you're doing the sexy job, you're actually out there flying the airplane. You know? When you come back every day, you have to sit down and do a debrief. The purpose of that debrief is to review and dig into everything you did wrong. And the reason for that is because what you did wrong could kill you. Everything you did right, they don't want to talk about that. So you learn that you get pretty tough skin. So, you know, it's some pretty tough conversations. You go nose to nose, well, what happened? But it's all over. You walk away friends. And so I'm used to doing that. And I do agree. I see that on the board that some people harbor. You know, I'm not going to call names. And I'm willing to answer those questions for that.
Well, because
and
maybe
some
it
stuff is
hasn't been talked
misunderstood.
about, you know?
A lot of stuff is misunderstood too. You know?
Okay, speaking of harboring, that's a perfect little time for me to bring it up. I felt a little bit resentful toward you because pre-election, you had promised to have an interview with me and Mr. Gordon at the same time. And then you put me off, and then you put me off again, and then you said, oh, I've thought about it, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
See,
well,
and if I didn't, and so it kind of broke my trust. And if I didn't bring it up now and talk to you about it, I would harbor that.
okay, and I'm open to talk about that.
Okay.
You know, I rarely do anything without talking to certain folks. You know, because it's hard to. No one's all-encompassing intelligent. So, and I have for different areas, I have different people I talk to. You know, I'm not going to go into all of them, but like if you want to talk about IDA or anything industrial, I'm going to Rick Harrell. He probably don't want me to say that. The man has has risked millions in his life to do things and done that.
Right.
So, do you understand what I do?
I do, but I'm
So
not
from a
relating it to
political
what I
standpoint, I'm
said.
relating to that.
Okay.
From a political standpoint, anything I do, any interview or whatever, I usually will touch base with a couple of people.
Right.
And one of them, the first one was vehemently, absolutely not before the election. Do not do that.
Mm-hmm.
You got my call,
Right.
And then we decided to do it again. And I don't want to say no to you. I like you, We come from different political beliefs, but I still like you.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say no.
Yeah.
So every time you called, I pretty much said no. And I go back and I talk, and they were like, man, what's your goal? They would ask me, what's your goal? I just want to answer whatever questions need to be answered.
Right.
They said, and what's Mr. Gordon's goal? I don't know. They said, he doesn't have a political standing, don't give him one,
So what have you learned from that with me in that experience?
That you didn't like it. I wish I had done it, but I'm not going to say I am just because I rely on these folks and they're like, I want them to continue to give me advice. They're right. I don't know what good does it do.
Well, I would like to hear just simply, don't commit until you thoroughly vet something.
That's what I learned from it. Yeah.
Good. That's what I want to hear, that you learn
And
something
what I should
from
have said
that.
was, I need to think about this.
Exactly, because I had people built up,
Yeah,
ready to
that's
see
right.
this. And,
My fault.
And it made me feel like I was a liar.
I will take the hit for that. My bad.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah, and I'll take it. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
And I felt that a little bit. I was glad to see you downtown at the parade, just to touch base and speak.
Oh,
up
the
there.
Christmas thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a great event.
Oh, it was. There's a lot. I love doing that stuff
Yeah,
when I've got the time
yeah.
and inclination.
Yeah. So no, you're right. I was wrong. And
So, well, and there's many things that he still wants to talk about and bring up about y'all's past history. I don't even know all the details of it. I just know there was a big conflict, and he wanted to hash it out. And you had said at one point you would want to.
here's what bothers me. He had the conflict. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I tried twice to sit down with him.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go hash all this out.
Yeah.
And it became a big argument. I don't know why.
Right.
I felt like I was accused of a lot of things I didn't do. Did I try to help? He would say, you're campaigning for money. And I'm like, I don't call myself campaigning. Was I trying to help money? Help him understand?
Right.
Did I make calls to folks that I know that are influential in the county?
Right.
Yeah, I did some of that. Did I go door to door or make phone calls to individual voters for him? No.
Right.
Did I show up at the polls for him? No.
Right.
So, and the part of that's just definition. He thought I was campaigning. Me, was I trying to help him? Absolutely. And why? Because he was handpicked by some I felt didn't have the best interest of the county.
Mm-hmm.
That was not their purpose.
Well, I think maybe in the future, I know at some point, not now because of personal things going on, but in the future, he is interested in staying engaged and involved in politics. I actually endorsed him. I really liked a lot of his ideas, and I liked his extroversion because I feel that that's necessary in politics. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. And he was learning as he went, because I know individually, he talked about, we need jobs, and we're like, very early on, no, we actually have plenty of jobs. Of course, part of that too, I knew this whole Hitachi thing was coming down,
Right.
Before everybody else did. So maybe that tainted me a little bit, but I got it somewhere. Unemployment in Halifax County right now is lower than it's ever been in, I don't know, 30 years. And is that number misleading? Could be, but I have friends that run businesses that cannot get help,
If he does re-enter the political arena, would you be willing to sit down and talk with him and us all have a discussion?
Sure, I think I'd probably rather it be.
Or do
Moderated.
you want to take time to think about it?
Well, I take that thing. When you ask me in, depending on the setup, I'd rather it be moderated.
Yeah.
Because just like I just told you,
Right.
you campaign for money. Well, and then if I said no, I did make some phone call. See, I told you campaign. Well, that's not my definition of campaign.
Right. Right.
Was I helping money? Yeah. He got upset because and publicly he said, that I had what did I do? I campaigned for money. I broke state code. State code says you cannot campaign in your official capacity. I agree. But I don't think I broke it. He was referring to an incident after, I forget, it might have been after they announced the contract with Miss Morgan at 25.5 for 4 months and 2 days a week.
Well, I know there were several things, but I'm glad that you're
anyway,
willing to discuss it in the future. Should
when we walked outside, a reporter, I'm going to say accosted me, that's a bad word, but wanted me to speak, which I will speak to. I answered his questions.
Right.
After we were done, the reporter said, "What can the citizens do?" I said, "They can vote." And then I did. I threw in there, I voted for Larry Rolla, Monty Thompson, and Jeff Oaks. And I heard, I didn't know he was out there, heard him from the back go, "And James Gordon." I didn't think that way, didn't say that. So he got mad and said I was campaigning, but that was on my dime. The meeting was over, the gavel was down, I was outside the building.
Right.
That wasn't
Right.
what state code was.
I understand. So speaking of who you named, that 5-3 split now seems to have reversed. Would you agree with that? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I'm really hoping of the three that we will become more subject to subject than just 5-3.
Okay.
And I think we saw a tiny little bit of that by the chairman and vice chairman.
That was my next thing to bring up, was the election. Now, I'm going to say from my perspective watching it, it seemed like this was already set in stone. This had already been talked about and agreed upon before you started the meeting.
And I'm not, it was talked about. One-on-one. We didn't get together in a group anywhere. That didn't happen.
Did that happen in the work session, or was it just kind of?
No, it was just, you call each other.
Right.
We do that because there's so much that goes on. I need to think through stuff.
Right.
And early on, because I had led a lot of the charge to, I won't give names, or me, I'm going to be chairman. They want me to be chairman. And I'm just like, and I wanted it to be, I want it after what I've been through last year. And then, won't Larry, you and Larry. And then I sat down and talked to Larry. And then somebody else said, even me, I don't know if I brought it up first or somebody else. I said, guys, I'm a lightning rod. And so if I'm chairman, it's going to be more difficult to go forward.
Well, it was interesting because the vote was 8-0 for Larry as chairman. I mean, Mr. Miller as chairman.
Gave me exactly what I was saying.
And then
he was the better choice for the chairman.
And then for you, it was 5-3. Yeah. But my question is, if they were against you, why didn't they nominate somebody else and make it a competition?
You'll have to ask them that. I asked myself the same question.
Right, because otherwise it was just more of a statement.
Because when we reversed it a year ago, when I was not for claiming to be chairman, I nominated somebody else. They didn't make it, but did it anyway.
The other thing that was interesting, I thought, is because part of it seeming like it was predestined, it was already discussed and decided. When I think about someone being elected as chairman or vice chairman of anybody, any type of board or group or committee or anything, it's like in high school when somebody runs for president. These are my qualifications. This is why I think. But we didn't see any public discussion. It was just like, we nominate him, we vote for him. We nominate him, we vote for him. Those that don't like you don't vote for you. No other nominations.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. As we said, it had been talked about, and a lot of that had been talked about. Qualifications, amongst ourselves, we want somebody that's experienced. This is Larry's 7th year. My 7th year, but I got this 25-year gap between the two.
Right.
And Larry had the temperament. And you can see the members of the board, which ones are studious, I don't say nothing unless I go back and actually cite the code. If some members that cite the code, you better go look it up, because there's some people just make stuff up as they go. I can't do that.
Okay.
And we know who they are, so without calling somebody out, we're going to stay away from certain things,
I want to also address, at the meeting, I noticed Miss Morgan is still there. I thought her contract was up in December, and what are we paying her if she's still there?
We ended in November.
Was it November? Okay.
Her contract was through December, but we had the right to end it. If anything changed, and that did when we hired Ron, because we no longer needed her for the for the county administrator role.
Right.
And she wasn't interested in continuing part of the contract. And Ron was very interested in what the whole board, not just the 5, were interested in, because there had been an election. He knew things were going to change. And because of the taint, I know, I'll tell you, I wanted, and nothing against Miss Morgan, I wanted nothing more for her to be done, be gone. And we asked the question. We went to Berkeley Group, which they supply.
What's Berkeley Group?
They're an organization in Virginia. There are others that are best known. They supply short-term personnel, administrators, financial folks. And when I first talked to them, I'll tell you, they said, yeah, we got 2 or 3. So I said, Ron, call them and see if we can get somebody from them that we can agree on, you know. And nobody would come here.
Is the advertisement still out for that position?
Yeah, but temporarily. They had people. The guy mentioned names to me, so I know they were available. But when they called him and said, hey, would you go to Halifax County part-time? They went, no.
So.
And was that because of all the stuff? Maybe. And the other thing is, apparently there's 12 different counties looking for finance directors at the same time. So
What is her status and pay?
So what we did agree to, and if you pay her hourly like she was when she first came here, and like we normally hire everybody, I might not like the amount. I agree to that. Pay her for every hour she works, nothing more. To contrast that contract, that $25,500, it was an amount per month, and specified she had to work 2 days a week. It was not tried to hours. She got $25,500, whether she was there or not. That's all the contract said. I still have it.
So what, is she under contract now?
She, by the hour. For every hour she has to document her
Okay,
hours.
I get that, but is it month to month? Is it
Yes,
12?
it's month to month.
It's a month to month.
We
So
said
if
we would
somebody-
likely keep her because Ron's got to have somebody. Everybody in the administrative, Otis that has building and grounds and other things. Everybody in Otis and the past financial director, Stephanie, and even the executive assistants. Everybody in that office quit in the last year. So she was the only thing, and she's been there since March, helping a little bit. So, and I gotta say, from Ron's perspective, remember, he comes from a background got nothing to do with local county government.
I understand that.
So he needed that, so I had to agree.
So
by
alright,
hour.
So you're paying her by the hour on a month to month. How many hours a week does she work?
She's been around 16 here. But
Is there a cap on it?
Ron thought there was, but I told him he heard the number 16, and I just told him the other day, there's not a cap, Ron, as long as we're paying by the hour.
So she could work 40 hours a week?
She could.
Okay, what are y'all paying her per hour?
175 if she's not here, because she works from home a lot. 225 if she is here. I think those rates are too big, but it's...
So let's add that up. Have you added that up?
Oh, yeah.
How much is it per year?
If she worked 40 hours a week, I've forgotten, it's pretty close to what she was making, that 25.5.
Which is $455,000 a year.
Yeah, don't say that to Keith. He'd go nuts. But
This is what I'm saying. Who gets paid $225 an hour?
if she's here,
Okay, who gets paid $175 an hour?
if she's not here, yeah, well, I agree, but I will defend her on the 175.
And look, I want to be the first to say, I don't have a thing against her either, but this is ridiculous.
I agree. I have a plan. Nobody wants to listen to it.
What's your plan?
I don't want to talk about it right now
Why?
because there will be so much resistance to it,
Okay.
and I'm just not ready to. I don't want to fight that fight.
I'll let you get away with that one.
Give me 2 months.
But you have an advertisement out. She's month to month. If somebody came in that was qualified, that you could hire them. What would you pay them an hour?
We probably pay them. I don't know.
I guarantee it's not $175.
No, but
Not even half of that. That's like a lawyer's salary.
Yeah, another sore subject. But Berkeley Group would bring one money down here at 150 an hour. Okay. But Berkeley Group didn't have anybody. And anybody that's working part-time like that's going to be more money, contract-wise. But she wouldn't go any lower. It was either that or nothing. And we tried to get somebody else, but nobody would come here.
It sounds like, I'm not going to use the E word, extortion.
I
Sounds
don't
like they
disagree,
kind of
but
push.
I-
There's got to be somebody in this county who can take this job for God's
And I
sake.
just gave a name, which I'm not gonna give it here, to an individual that does that to Larry the other day, and he said, I didn't think of that. I said, let me say this right, go talk to them.
Okay, because see, this was the big thing that's come out of some recent interviews I've done, is about raising revenue, and y'all are waiting on the forensic audit and all that stuff. I mean, and my point was, if I need money, you know, I'll go out and Uber. I'll clean out my closets and have a yard sale. You know, you've got to get creative out of the box and get that revenue. Because if you guys start taxing, that's going to be a death knell.
And there's two subjects I'll talk to you about, but no, that, you
We'll,
know.
we'll come back to that. But,
Yeah.
but that my main point here was about Miss Morgan. But
Yeah.
you know, you're saying that all of the board is aware this is an issue.
So it was kind of a win-win between the two sides, you see, you know.
What do you mean a win-win?
5-3. They wanted to
Oh.
keep her. We didn't. But we had to have somebody, so we said, okay.
So that was you're saying you
The
compromised.
compromise is we'll pay her by the hour, but only for the hours she works. She set those rates.
It seems
But
like
she
you
had
would
said-
at least cap the hours,
And we kind of did at 16. I wanted to, but
but it's not right. Now,
if he needs more hours, he needs, you know.
I understand. Well, and,
Plus, she was already working for somebody else, so she wasn't going to work for us for so many hours.
right.
And I understand recently she stopped working for Sussex,
I was
whatever
making,
county.
if I was
it is.
making that much an hour, I think I'd be fine too.
Yeah, and I agree. I think 150 is the going rate for somebody, and even that's a god-awful amount, okay?
Yeah.
But that's for somebody they know they're temporary part-time. That's all they do.
I know, because everybody brings up, well, they're not getting insurance, they're not this, that. Do you know how many people work part-time and
don't
have
get-
none of that and
Yeah,
make
you're
20
right,
bucks an
you're right.
hour? I mean, come on.
I don't disagree, but Ron is new. He has to have some.
I get that too. Now, I had an interview with him, and I really liked him. I had a lot of respect for him. He brought up a really couple of things. In fact, I'll be following up with him soon, hopefully, because he's so new to it. There's a lot, you know.
That's a good thing.
He had to say I don't know to a lot, which is fine.
And we come from a different area, come from the same area.
Mm-hmm.
I spent 15 years working for the federal government. For National Intelligence Agency, he worked for NASA. There's a lot of similarities.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, so he'll call me sometime to go, hey, anyway.
Well, one of the main things he brought up was a staffing issue, and I was actually shocked because I didn't know it until he told me. Y'all don't have a dedicated HR person.
No,
So how do you handle HR
we
issues?
got some guy
Carefully.
that's good at, understands the state code as far as, you know, keeping the pay and all straight. So pay is a big part of HR, so he gets everything else.
But do you think some of the past controversies, like things at the animal control, or
Yes,
had you had a dedicated
Yes.
HR person, you could have avoided a lot of that?
but we don't have enough people, you know, and I don't even know how many people we're, hence, trying to put together.
Right.
But you know, my sense is Halifax County, there might be 40 or 50. And just in the administration, you know, then because some board members don't understand this. The treasurer is a constitutional officer. Well, she don't work for us, you know. She works for the taxpayers just like we do.
Right.
And her people, we don't have say-so over them. The commissioner of revenue, the sheriff, the school system, they all have their self-appointed governing person or persons. So we can't force them to do any of that. I think we could come up with a good argument and probably get the commissioner of the revenue, the treasurer, the sheriff. Sheriff is a little bit out there. All the other, well, I was going to say the clerk of court, another constitutional officer, but they won't do anything unless the judge says do it. So we don't have enough people, but I haven't lost hope, neither is Ron, that we wanted, if we included the school system, oh, that would really work, you know? They have an HR person. I personally don't think they have any HR skills, but they tend to take a teacher, I'm not gonna, for some reason didn't want to teach anymore, and didn't want to be an administrator at an elementary school, we need to find them a spot. That's where this one's come from. You know, and I don't think they have any real, I've worked around HR professionals. They don't, you know. Ron spent some time, has some HR training himself. Because when he asked me, what are we going to do now? I said, you.
Right.
But he's right. So could we cobble together all the constitutional officers, and if we could get them to agree, we will have one HR person that's going to take care of all of us? That would make sense to me.
The other staffing issue he brought up, and this is a twofold thing, was about having a community engagement, somebody to take your emails. Now I'm going to go back to the public speaking section during the board meetings. We haven't touched on that yet, but at the first meeting I was at, we had several people come up, and again, I was so disappointed because it felt like business as usual. The person would come up and say, yada, da, 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 thank you, next person, yada, da, thank you, next. I mean, they were at least acknowledged, which at times in the past they hadn't even been acknowledged, but nothing they're addressed. Now this segues straight into what you said before about, that was brought up, about how do we handle, there's some way you need to do it. And Ron had mentioned a community engagement person that could somehow navigate all this.
Yeah. In the past, I hate to say the old boy, at one point, before we changed administrators, they made the county administrator, I can go back and pull them, every comment that somebody got up and said had to be answered. We were doing that up until...
Maybe you could merge HR and community engagement into a position.
And do you do that? I think yes, because a person that was, I hate to use names, that was vocal in attacking me and others.
I was going to bring that up next.
Miss Champion? Miss Champion, she had to go, I'll be glad to answer anything. But over the past few months, there's been once, twice, or three times, she's had a legitimate comment. And I've told Larry, we need to answer that, you know.
Let's talk specifically about this first meeting and what she said to you.
Okay, yeah.
Which was?
I'm trying to remember, she mentioned...
It was about solar stuff.
She said that my in-laws own the solar farm. My wife's maiden name is Martin. There is a small solar farm that went into production about a year ago. And she said there was never any public acknowledgement of that. How did all that end? I'm like, my wife is in the crowd. I'm looking at her going, what is she talking about? You know, because I know the farm. And my daughter owns property right next to it. You know?
But the farm itself has nothing to do with you?
And so I had to come back and ask my daughter, what are we talking about? Interestingly, my wife confronted her after the meeting and asked her to. Oh. But the truth is, and I don't remember the name. It's not Martin, it's some other name. The lady that owns it lives in Northern Virginia somewhere, and you know, but she is my wife's second cousin once removed, or something like that.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
So
I knew that all that farm had been split up, but I didn't, you know, I'd hear from her from before my father-in-law passed. He would tell me about the time when all that land was, you know, his grandfather's. And so over time, I just, you know, I don't know, stuff got sold. He didn't have a little 20 acres, but apparently that land is owned by, again, her second cousin once removed. And she says,
some distant relative.
She said, I know who she is. I ain't seen her in 40, 50 years. We ain't had nothing to do with it.
Right. Well, the insinuating thing that I took away from that.
And it was approved in 2021 by a board. Went through the full thing. There was a you know, the people that owned the land had to come, just like we do now. Mm-hmm. They had to go to a public hearing before the planning commission, you know. But I keep a little cheat sheet on solar, because people ask a lot of questions, and I can tell you that it was approved in 2021. I wasn't on the board then. But.
Right. Well, the insinuation I was taking from that is that, well, first of all, anybody in this county that meets the requirements can have a solar farm, right?
Yes.
Okay. They just have to apply for it.
I have 43 acres here.
Right.
And if they wanted to talk to me and say, we want 20 acres, would you do that? Legally, I can do that. Would have to do through the same thing everybody else, gotta go through the board, get the boards.
But that's different for you as a board member, the way it would look.
Oh,
You
yeah.
might have some undue influence on approving things, because the board has to approve
Yes,
anyone that's put in.
That's
So that's what I took away from it, is that she was insinuating that there was a conflict of interest, or some of your family got a solar farm and you used influence to make that happen.
And-
But you're telling me you weren't even on the board when it was
the
approved?
short answer is, I wasn't on the board.
And it's a
And
distant
then now,
relative.
I would have had to go home, that brings up about response, sometimes they'll say something and I'm totally clueless,
Right,
you know? What?
okay.
I've been told I own a 200-acre farm that's secret and there's a solar farm on it.
Okay.
I really want to know where it is.
I was gonna say, where's your
And
secret
I want
farm?
my money, but show me the bank account that's going to.
But you have no property in Halifax County that has a solar farm on it.
Or any type of, a lot of times what happens, it takes so long to build them, they start out with, you have let me think of it. It's not a rental contract, it's a, shucks, I can't think of the name of the word, it's an intent to rent, or, you know, they'll pay you so much of a year not to
Right.
let anybody else lease that, it's a lease option. It's a
Okay.
lease option. They're not actually on your property, they don't have anything to do with your property.
And you're saying you don't have anything like
I don't
that
have anything like that
either,
either.
whatsoever? Okay, because I mean.
That's where Scott Simpson got his lease option.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
But it's known that you support solar, but that doesn't mean
I'm solar agnostic.
solar
support-
agnostic.
I support Halifax County and state of Virginia, okay? 40% of the power in the state of Virginia comes from outside of the border, not a good thing, okay? Halifax County need money, you touched on that.
Yeah.
We can go into that. There's four, basically right now before us, there's four things we can look at in Halifax County, money. Hitachi, big win, okay? But you know when we start getting money out of that?
Years,
7 years from now.
yeah.
We gave away all of the tax, and this sounds negative. I don't mean to be negative. We have to do that. That's the game you have to play to get these large-scale employees with lots of employees.
You waived their taxes for
You
7 years?
waive their taxes for 7 years. There's a game between, and in that size, we don't even do most of that at the county. That deal was made between the governor of Virginia and
Right,
the owner of Hitachi's Japanese folks.
right.
That wasn't done here.
I think it's just concerning that, like, it makes it look like all of our eggs are in one basket with Hitachi.
Yeah.
And that diversification
Big
is
concern about it. I'm glad
priority.
you say that, and I'm in trouble for that, but that's another story. And so that's one, that's out here, okay? Here's solar over here, it doesn't generate a huge amount of money, but for us, it's about $2 million a year right now, in addition to the $2 or $3 million, what we call, the money comes from 3 different areas. But it's real money, and here's the benefit now. When you get an Hitachi, all those people, you have to educate your children. You have to have housing for them, which means street lights and water, sewer, and
Training.
and you got the big one is you got to educate your kids. We spend more money doing that than anything else more. That solar farm, and oh yeah, and the people that go to work for Hitachi, they call 911. They, you know, fire, rescue, police. That solar farm, they don't call 911. There's nobody
Right.
there.
Right.
They don't have children we have to educate.
At one
It's pure
time,
money.
I was going to attend one of those presentations from a company to talk about benefits and costs and benefits, and that fell through. Is there anything else like that coming up?
Yeah,
Or everybody talked about town halls. What about
I
a town
want
hall?
to do that. I want to
A
talk
town
to
hall
that.
on solar.
And in fact, you told me, I want to do a town hall on solar, or more than one. I want to do a town hall on budget. And things have been, my personal life has been really busy here lately. My daughter and 4 children moved back to the area, and long story. But so I haven't done everything I wanted to do. I am going to talk to the conservative club, because she was looking. I keep meaning to call her and say, let me talk on solar at that. She's looking for subjects. Anytime you don't need a subject, call me, and I can talk on solar. I can talk on budgets. I can talk. We can pick whatever the county wants to talk about. Solar's a big one. So from solar perspective, you know why I'm interested in it. But nobody wants to put solar all over the whole county. And I think, and I think maybe we put a 2% limit tops for the county. And when I
Because
say
now it's at what percent?
a little over 1.
A little over 1, gotcha. You said 4 things.
Yep. So that's
Solar,
what, so here's
Hitachi.
here's the Hitachi heavy industrial, and then we come in the middle, and these are things that are available to us, not things that are all over the world, but what might be available to us. Solar doesn't work well without batteries. Okay, and long story wise, Dominion Power, who is in this area, and Mecklenburg have been slow to get involved in batteries. Turns out that's changing. They're looking for sites as we speak. The money from solar, the batteries are just like solar. They don't call 911. They don't have people yet. You know?
Right.
They don't cost you anything, and they bring money up first. You know, they'll pay you to put them in.
But like a data center, is there any
That's the
problem
fourth
with
one.
it?
That's the fourth. Battery.
But data centers, and I know everybody says they build their own water towers.
They
and
can.
stuff, but the battery.
We can
I don't
talk
know
data
about-
centers. Let's talk data centers. Let's finish battery man.
Okay.
Batteries. They don't use power. They don't need water. Well, they use a little bit of power because they got air conditioners. But the whole purpose of the battery, it's considered a power source, like a solar farm, or like a coal plant, or like it's considered a power source. And the way that works is during the day when all the solar farms are wide open, there's extra power. You feed that extra power when there's batteries. You come tonight, you use that power. That's this. Does it work? Space station been doing that for, I don't know, 30 years now, you know, and there are cities and towns that call them off-grid solar. You know, if you want a house, I've looked at them for this house. The battery makes it unchargeable. I could go out there and take that meter and pull it out, and there's enough room on the building next door to put solar panels, run this whole place. But so the batteries have a purpose. I would love it, but they're much smaller. So per acre, they provide about 30 times the money. So yeah, would we like to have some of those? Yeah.
Okay, so,
Big money. Then we
Hitachi?
talk about data centers.
okay, and that's the 4th one.
Yeah, they're kind of in between. So you got Hitachi way out here, and then you got these two. Lots of land, but you know, just money, no tax on the county. Batteries, a lot less land, but no tax on the county. So then you got data centers. Their problem is they don't have very many employees and huge amounts of money. And the reason is they pack their building with technology, and everybody says, well, you know, machinery and tools tax, and it's expensive equipment. So the machinery and tool tax, big money, okay? And there's, well, that falls off. Well, guess what they do every 2 to 3 years in the computer industry? They refresh. They literally replace everything every 2 to 3 years. That keeps that machinery and tool tax high. So that's why they bring so much money. What are the problems associated with
The
and,
environmental
and
water, yeah.
they need
I've researched a lot of that, and it
they
does
need
not
a
sound
large
good.
amount of water, and I would be more in
Crazy
favor.
amounts.
I don't want them to use a dump. There was a large one I was associated with. It was government owned. They built their own lake. I mean, literally. I say lake, wasn't huge, 2 or 3 acres. It was deep enough that the water would cool what they needed to cool, and they reuse the same water. And it's it's really a big lined pond, so the water doesn't seep into the ground. That's all it does. It reuses its own water. Could there be implications from that? Yes, but it's much less than if they're pulling it out of a stream and putting it back.
Do you have committees for any of these? Do you have a revenue committee to research revenue sources?
Yes and no.
What's your procedure process?
And we as far as data centers and batteries, we don't have a land use for that right now. Right now, you can't in Halifax County, either one, because we don't have. But I have already said something to Ron that we really need to have now before somebody comes knocking on the door. We need to be getting a land use policy for data centers and a land use.
Who would create that policy?
That's really Dietrich's,
The planning and zoning.
Planning and zoning guy.
Okay.
But he's one man, and we're way behind, a lot to do. So back to the Berkeley group, go, hey, but that shouldn't be so
And
hard.
that's somebody you gotta pay.
Yes, again.
Lot
But we
of
want to make it. But can we go next door to Mecklenburg, who has all these data centers, and go, can you come?
Help us.
They got a guy that just retired.
What's the nearest battery center? I know Mecklenburg has a data center. Who has a battery
There's
center?
a couple of small batteries in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania County.
Yeah, but there's some really large ones up north. So.
Mm.
And Dominion came to us recently. We asked for it and gave us an education on what they're installing. And we said, where would you want to go? You know, and we said, look around the county and find a spot, you know, and see if you can work something. The negative for me with battery storage is they buy the land, they don't rent it. Okay.
Okay, so we've discussed four, without going into too much detail about data centers, because again,
all of those are a subject for themselves.
well, and you mentioned these things at town halls, which I'm going to circle back to, but those are four avenues of revenue, and we're trying to talk about anything but tax, because taxing people more is really going to be bad.
We're a largely retirement community, not because we want to, because a large portion of people here are retired on fixed income, so taxes are very harsh.
Well, and there's multiple reasons why the young people are leaving, and that's another topic. But coming back, how is this board going to become creative in diversifying avenues of revenue?
And I just kind of went through those.
That's four. You need
and
20 or 30.
In the IDA, you know, we've looked a lot at. I wish we would look more at something on the agricultural side.
Hemp.
Well, we tried hemp, and they tell me, I don't know, I'm not an expert, that the way the lay of the land and the type of soil here, while we can grow hemp, most areas can grow 4 times the hemp per acre than we can, so we just can't compete. I mean, we put money, we built some type of hemp structure or whatever.
Well, I know I spoke with Reese Farms lady, and
they go to my church. I know that.
she didn't like the topic. She said, that's a bad word here. But she told me it's because they did and then didn't get paid for it. But you would also need a processing plant. Preston Witt, he's tried to do something.
We have an ag committee.
Yeah, there we go. Committees that need to discuss it. That's just one of many things. You guys need like 20 things to draw on.
And I wish,
or maybe just a revenue committee for people to brainstorm.
Yeah, not a bad idea. I wish I had a better answer for you there, but those are the 4 I'm aware of now that are at the forefront, you know, and that are looking to come here.
3 of which are painfully controversial. 1 of which
it's going to pass
in 7 years.
7 years.
Right. So my question, and I know y'all are waiting on the results of a forensic audit, and I've been told we don't have money for the improvement on the 911 system, which is urgent. Are we broke?
No,
what's the situation?
We number one, I'll get in trouble for this, but that audit is a witch hunt. They're not going to find anything.
A witch hunt for what?
There were 2 people that they want to say did something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Certain people, and it's a witch hunt. Will it say, the most it'll say, well, the money was in bucket A, but it should have been in bucket B.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most it'll say. No money's missing, never has been. Why they haven't been, like carryover funds, is a big deal. They didn't want to spend that. No reason why. When we go look at the total account, the money's there. We see it. You know, this year, budget-wise, we are millions in the green.
Okay.
But that's gonna dry up really quick because things are coming that we need to.
And this 911 system's huge.
Is one of them. You know, that 911, just speaking in generalities, without a finance person for me to talk to, but my recollection, when the last time we had a finance director that knew all the details, we could probably do one of these 3 or 4 million, $5 million things we do, but then would be no reserves after that. We would be, right now we carry a good enough to reserve to maintain a AAA rating, and that's the biggest worry.
I didn't know counties had credit ratings.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
Really?
all municipalities have.
I did not know that.
And that's important because it affects the interest rate if you borrow money.
Sure. Yeah.
And we do an audit every year. Okay, you can go back and look at them.
But a forensic audit is like a deep audit.
A little bit deeper. They say that, but then I've been told I've had different people call me and say, why are they only looking at this? And I'm like, you're asking the wrong person, you know.
How much does a forensic audit cost?
This one's gonna cost us $50,000.
Oh, I remember y'all voting on that. Yes, I remember that.
And you know, I say good on Miss Morgan. She knows it's a witch hunt, but she's doing what she's told to do. You know, they told Scott before he left, go get an RFP for audit. He did.
So what is the suspicion of it being, like, is there a couple of people that thinks that some other board members are diverting money
Remember,
personally?
someone thinks I have a hidden solar farm. Let me focus on the things, the things I've been accused of that are just, which is why I don't answer in public, because sometimes it's just so stupid. My in-laws have a solar farm. No. My second cousin, my wife's second cousin wants maroon, you know.
But if you ignore things like that, people are going to assume it's true. It
is
is kind of important to address it. As stupid as something may seem.
You know, even a board member accused me of calling Richmond. I didn't do that. You know.
What about money you already have but aren't collecting? For example, I know, and I do know this for a fact, that you guys don't go around and assess all property on a regular basis, and I know that some people whose property has been improved are not paying any amount. This was here in Scottsburg at the bingo thing.
I'm one of them.
You're not paying what you should be paying.
I don't think I am.
This is what the guy at the Scottsburg bingo told me. He said, I'm not one to complain, you know what I'm talking about?
He's called me several times.
Okay, yeah. And I said, I agree with you, because I had my house reassessed, and this year I've gone from $500 to $1,500 in taxes. Mine tripled when I had a reassessment.
Mine didn't budge.
And the guy told me, there's a lot of houses here that need to be reassessed. Well, why don't y'all do that?
In my list of things to do, to talk to the assessor. That actually, the assessment is done not by the county, but by the Commissioner of Revenue.
Right.
Remember, separate entity.
Okay.
And I want to know about that assessment process.
Okay.
State code says we're supposed to be within 10% of the value. We're supposed to be, by law, within 10% of the value. But we aren't. That's another, I make that number 5 for your resident. But people are going to scream, because essentially they see that as a tax increase.
Well, see, I don't mind paying my fair share of taxes. Yeah. My house was assessed at $69,000. That's ridiculous. When they reassessed it, it jumped to $170,000. So for all these years, I wasn't really paying what I should have been paying, but it should be consistent for everyone.
When we bought this property and this house was in here, obviously, it's assessed at the same value that I paid for it. Actually, I paid more for it per acre 10 years ago. I paid a little over $3,000 an acre 10 years ago, and it's assessed. The land, take away the house, is like $2,800. There's a guy I know that's 5 miles from here, but it's still in the general area, or 4 miles from here. He bought generally the larger number of acres, you think it goes down. He just paid $5,000 an acre for 120 acres. $5,000 an acre.
Right. Yeah. It's really increased.
And I agree.
Yeah.
And then I got people screaming that theirs went up. Mine should have gone up.
Okay, so we've covered revenue. I want to ask you now, I also wanted to mention when we were talking about staffing, HR, community engagement, that person maybe could also get your website updated, because the website's not updated, and that's frustrating.
And the person who used to do that is one of them that left. So.
Oh, really? Okay, that was part of their job. All right, let's talk about committees now. I have hot off the press committee assignments.
These are the committee assignments. This is what you normally see. That's just an extra, just to help you understand.
And is it okay if I put these up on my...
Absolutely, I'll give you a cleaner copy of that.
Okay.
This is public knowledge. It's supposed to be on the website.
But it looks like some of these, and I had to have Mr. Smart explain to me about, what do you call them, outside entities versus one they directly appoint. Outside entities include things like DSS, Tri-County, SBHEC, and generally those boards invite the Board of Supervisors to contribute a person or appoint someone. Now, these committees are actually
wholly done by the board.
Done by the board, yeah. Not these, but the first ones here.
Yeah.
And that, I don't want to read them all, it's too many. But those now have a chairman and I'll put this paperwork up for you to see, to know who's on these committees. But some of these are on hold, and that's what I want to ask you about. The first one that is on hold is the Henrietta Lacks Commission. Can you tell me why?
Because it's complete.
What does complete mean?
The statute.
Oh, so it's, in other words, it's not going to be a committee anymore.
No,
What
there's
is-
nothing to do.
What is your process?
I would suggest for the town, and I haven't spoken to them about this, so sorry if somebody hears this the first time. There's a group, if there's any money left, they'll take that money and invest it, and it'll be there in perpetuity to upgrade or any maintenance that statute may need. That might be a thing to do.
What is the policy or procedure for creating a committee, and what's the opposite?
The board,
Breaking up a
it's at the pleasure of the board.
It's at the pleasure of the board. All right.
There's some things that are state code, but the majority of those are the pleasure.
Okay. School. So if you wanted to create a committee that was like brainstorming revenue ideas, you could do that. You could just form a committee.
Absolutely.
Okay. School facilities committee. That's on hold. Why?
That was kind of put in place, we think. No one, they have a school board, so what are we doing? To help our understanding of the building of the new school. New school's complete.
Gotcha. Okay. Now let's talk about the outside committees. The IDA. Why is that on hold?
Well, what we did was we rescinded the 2 appointments that they made in December.
Why?
Well, if you go back, the first meeting, they agreed the new board should make those decisions because they're not seated until the 29th of January. And there was a rumor, and they decided they wanted to go ahead and announce them so that the new board couldn't do anything different. That thought in of itself is wrong. The people elected a new board.
So why didn't you just appoint them in January?
Well, we had to rescind it first,
Okay.
which we did.
So when will that come off hold and you appoint?
Probably, well, there's two things. That's actually a, project review. We don't know, I'm talking about IDA membership actually on the board when I said we rescinded those two.
Right.
I don't know that we'll fill that because I think board members need to go to the IDA and see it for themselves. You know, we don't need,
I don't understand.
the IDA can't do anything without permission, so they have to come to us anyway.
Right.
So I don't know why we have to have we don't understand why we have to have two members doing project reviews. They have a whole board that we appoint people to that does that. That's
When
dumb.
will you appoint the board?
The two members that need to be appointed we'll do on the 20th at the comprehensive.
Wait, what's the 20th?
It's it's actually the joint board planning commission meeting.
Joint board and planning commission meeting?
Yeah, we do that every month.
Is that open to the public?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent.
Everything we do has to be open to the public.
Uh-huh.
I'm just telling you.
In theory, like
Yeah.
transparency. I'm just teasing you. All right, so good. Yeah, I want to be at that.
20th
So-
at 6:30.
Huh?
20th at 6:30.
20th to 6:30. I've got it written down. All right, so you're telling me it was a procedural issue. But wasn't someone else not renewed, the chair, for this?
There's no check. That's just,
The board.
yeah, that was just participating, watching the IDA while we're having some.
Okay, so you're probably just going to do away with that
Yeah,
altogether.
that's right.
All right, was there anything else? No, that was the only three. Are any of these new committees?
No.
All right, so
However,
you're eliminating three and you're,
there's a lot of talk that some of them we didn't eliminate may or may not be useful. And then we have committees from the board committees. And so Ron actually had an AI generated plan that took all those and created 6, looked really good.
yeah,
But couple of things, some of these are based on ordinances
right.
and policy. And what we've said was, we will definitely look at that. But we need to look at the policy and the ordinance,
Right.
change that. And then, so somebody said, well, we could change this in June. I'm like, and then we have other members who are like, nah, if we're gonna change, that's okay. We do it the first year. So we may go through
So
a
this
change.
is probably going to morph.
Yes.
Okay.
No doubt. No,
Okay.
it will morph.
Okay. Because, some of them do seem redundant, honestly.
Yes, it will morph.
Okay.
I agree.
And then people who are on the committee itself, most of them are just a board of supervisor.
Yeah.
But like, if I remember correctly on my website, I have all this. The airport commission was one that was rather big.
I happen to be on that one.
Does that stay the same?
Yes, there are 7 or 9 members, I forget. I like to keep odd numbers.
I think it was the biggest one
We like to keep odd members.
for tie breaking.
They want to call it a commission, but state code, commissions have money and spend money. They don't, so the committee. They have to come back to the board and ask us for anything. Probably should be a commission, but
Right.
That's something we're gonna look at on the committee, driving that committee towards a commission. You know.
Right, gotcha.
Go down there sometimes and look at Dick's Aviation, doing $2 million a year, bringing in aircraft from.
I've been wanting to do that,
Yeah,
yeah.
good
I just
folks.
have not had the opportunity. So tell me the difference between committees of the board and outside committees that the board handles versus the other board. Well, we talked about outside entities. So I guess I'm a little bit confused because
Me
you
too.
have outside committees here and then you have other boards like Tri-County, but those are by invitation only?
Yeah, and when we have a list, I'll have to get you that, of everything we appoint people to.
Yes, that's what I want.
Yeah, now get
That
that,
way I
that's
can
not
do-
this.
That way I can do compare and
This is the
contrast.
appointments we make at the beginning of the year.
Okay. Now, what I gleaned from my last interview with a board member was that it's really too new to talk about a priority list. You're all kind of getting to know each other,
Yeah,
getting through some
yeah.
training.
I'm gonna go a step further. I'm gonna say there's 2 or 3 sticky issues we need to get through.
Okay, what are those? Tell me.
IDA is one of them. We're getting
Yes.
through that.
Yes?
Animal control is one of them
Why is that a sticky issue?
because well, number one, I mean, I'm gonna get in trouble for doing this. We've got, for me, it's an issue. We have an animal control officers working for the county. And I don't know when we got there, wearing a badge, carrying a gun. Who's that sound like to you?
Popo.
They belong to the sheriff's department. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
We need to move. There's some personnel concerns that the sheriff doesn't like, or they don't like, and some of the board members don't like, and it doesn't matter. The function should go to the sheriff's department. Okay? And I think the other thing is use of force. We don't have a use of force policy. They're carrying a gun. Why don't we have a use of force policy? We don't have a use of deadly force policy. They're carrying a gun. And I live in fear. What if happened, just past Friday, one of our animal control officers got bit by a dog. She shot the dog. Okay? Are we going to get sued? I don't know. People are telling me I got 3 different calls on that this weekend. I'm like, I don't know. We need to, you're talking to the wrong person,
So I'm trying to picture,
But
sorry, go ahead.
animal control was set by a specific board member. He wanted certain people to be on it, and they are. And I don't care who's on it. I'm just saying it belongs to the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department ain't gonna play that game. They don't want it to move because they want to say who's on it. The sheriff's department, the only way he's gonna take it is if we go, here's the function, do what you want. We probably have to pay him extra money because it's a pain in the butt to deal with it,
Why would someone want to be specifically appointing animal control?
Or any officer. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's politics. It's wrong. Which is why we went through all that training that we went through the other day. Ron sees that.
And which is why I keep throwing transparency back out again,
I didn't vote for it.
Well,
You have to go back to when they fired the 2 and then they.
Right.
I mean,
that lawsuit's still pending, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
very much so.
Yeah.
Um,
All right, without going into many more specifics on animal control, and that's a sticky issue you're talking about.
but that's a sticky issue. Getting a finance director in here,
Right.
that's a sticky issue. That's
Yeah.
the third. That might be it. And then the rest is just stuff we need to do, and there's nobody holding on to.
See, I'm trying to picture how you guys deal with this. Do you walk into a room for a working session and all of your board of supervisors are sitting around a table with their list and they say, I think this is a priority. How do you come up with that priority list? The 8 of you together.
You mean as far as what to work on?
Yeah.
We haven't done that. That's why we need to have an offsite. We need to do that very thing.
Like team building.
Yeah. Well, part of it's team building, part of it's priority. What do we need to work on? What do we as a board?
So it's still too soon to ask that
It
question?
is.
Okay.
I've
all
got
right.
my ideas.
And that's fair enough, that's fair enough.
Yeah, we only met once, and that was more of that was the beginning. You know, nobody put anything on that agenda. The only thing controversial on that agenda was the rescinding the appointments of the IDA, and the only reason we did that is because we needed to get it done quickly to give the new board members a couple of weeks to think about things, because we need to set that January 20th so that that board can do its thing from February on.
It just seems like y'all should have work sessions every week. I can't imagine
I
the
don't
enormous
disagree.
responsibility and
I
the
don't
wide
disagree.
range of issues and, just making phone calls and
And
meetings.
none of it
and
is simple. None of it is simple.
Mm.
Just like our budget, everybody says, you need to stop spending money. Well, I forget the number, 4% of our budget. I hate to quote me, it could be different, but it's a high number. It's mandated by the state. They tell us how many deputies are on the road. They tell us how many lawyers we have to have. And they tell us what we have to pay them. So
Right. Gotcha.
the school board, they tell us the minimum amount of money we have to give the school, and we give the minimum. So you tell us we need to cut the school budget all you want. We can't legally do that.
Right, right.
You know?
And these are all the things that people have no idea.
Which is why I used to think for a while, and still do, that they need to take the board and split it up. There's 8 of us. I remember one of them said, but anyway. And it ought to alternate every 4 years, that half the board has to be appointed like jury duty. Or maybe it's 2. You don't have a choice. You have to do it. Because the only way you're going to learn this stuff is you have to sit down, and not everybody will do that. It happens to some board members. You need to dive in and figure out what you're talking about. You know?
Yeah,
Well,
do a
so
lot
you
of
make it-
research, for sure.
Ask my wife. I'm tons of stuff. I'm way behind now because I got on the board and it was worse than I thought it was. And I've spent a lot of time researching stuff. But we shouldn't have been, this whole animal control thing should have never gotten this far. Lawsuits and the things that we need to be working on the things you're asking me questions about. Not this rumor about this animal control officer, or this rumor about the county administrator, or this rumor.
But a lot of these things are just signs of dysfunction, that this foundation needs to be rebuilt.
And I really think we need to go, we did it 25 years ago, we need to go to the retreat, sit down for 3 days and look each other in the eye and go, and figure it out.
Yeah, I like that idea, that sounds
And
great.
we're gonna do it. And Chairman Rolo has said we would. He's asked Ron to actively plan that. I hate the cat's out of the bag. Probably, sorry Connie, we hadn't called you and asked yet, but probably gonna go to VIR. She won't mind. Can we open the go-kart track while we're there? Just curious.
That's no fair, we're not having fun, y'all can't have fun, y'all got
we
work
gotta
to
pay for
do.
it. But that's part of team. I was military, and they used to do all types of team building stuff, and some of it's fun.
Yeah.
And we need to do that. And it needs to be, and we're gonna spend a little bit of money, but we need to bring a professional in that guides team building experience, somebody that knows about counties, and also guides the discussion about what's our priority on making money? What's our priority on spending money? We need to spend $3 or $4 million on housing right now. We need to do that again. We got a radio system that's ailing. That's going to cost us millions of dollars. We need to, I'm just telling you things off the top of my head that I know of.
Right.
EMT,
Transportation, childcare, I could just go down the list for you. Yeah.
Emergency response
Right.
is somewhat, we've been growing over the years, but it still needs money. We're losing our volunteers. How are we going to pay for these people?
Oh yeah, the volunteer fire departments are just in
that's
sad
where,
shape.
when I was on the rescue squad 45 years ago, it was all volunteer. Now it's all paid.
Yeah.
That's going to happen with fire departments.
Yeah, that's what they
How do we pay
me.
them?
Yeah.
That's just more money.
Can't sell enough pancakes for that.
So when I say, and when somebody looks at me and I say I'm so agnostic, and they go, "You are not," I'm going, "We need the money." They're the only ones knocking on their door right now saying, "We want to come there." So for me to just put up a wall and go, no,
Are you talking about solar or
yeah,
data? Okay.
solar.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm not gonna say no to data centers either yet. I
Yeah.
wanna see, tell me what you're gonna do, walk me through this, you know?
Right.
And the batteries, tell me what you're gonna do, walk me through this.
yeah,
And yes, everybody says it's about the money. It absolutely is about the money,
yeah.
you know? Because I love this rural community. I'd like it to stay rural.
Mm,
If it was up to me, Tasha wouldn't be building any bigger either. It's fine the way it is.
yeah.
But we
Yeah.
need the money. We
Yeah.
need the.
We should just come up with more creative things as
You just
well,
talked about,
you know?
you know, get our prices in line. You know, can we go back to hemp and redo that? You know, or is there something else we haven't looked at? I don't
Yeah,
know.
right. There could be something none of us have thought
I would
of.
like to focus on the agricultural side. I don't have that background.
See, this is why I would love to get young people involved because, God, they come up with good ideas.
Yeah,
You
there's
know?
there's a couple people that I want somebody that's Jonathan Hudson. He's never been in politics, never been on the
Who's
board.
that?
He's a big farmer out in Turbeville.
Oh, yeah?
I've tried to get him involved.
Right.
You know why? Because he's a big farmer out in Turbeville. We need agricultural,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And let me jump in. The Reeses, some of them involved. Yeah, you guys are farmers.
Yeah.
Maybe we need some of that to help grow that piece of
Yeah.
the county, you know.
Yeah.
And there are lots of more there's several other big farmers. I'm sorry I didn't mention you. They're the ones I'm aware of.
Right. Right. Gotcha. All right. Well, we're about to run out of time here. I'm taking a lot of your time, and I know we both have
And-
commitments tonight.
Yeah, and
And there's some things I didn't touch on, but I'm sure that we will meet again and talk some more because I do want to talk
Anytime.
about some other things that y'all are working on.
yeah, and if I get 5-3 votes, because I say sometimes, but I want to be as open as I can. And there's been a couple of times I wouldn't answer your question tonight, but it was for my purpose. I will answer it, just not right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, some things are sensitive for a
And
while.
I will hold you to that
Absolutely.
because it's recorded.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm getting old and forget, but I got the recording.
I should never be here to get reelected. My purpose here is to see Halifax County move forward.
Yeah.
If you're here to get reelected,
I think ultimately, shouldn't that be what every single person here wants is
yes,
to see Halifax
yes,
County move
and we
forward?
may disagree
Yeah.
on what that is. That's okay. That's healthy. We need to discuss that.
As long as you're open-minded, sure.
Yeah, that's right.
I
But
agree.
if you're just hiring your buddy because you want your buddy to have the job,
Right.
if that's your goal, or you come on this board because you're against something, you're supposed to be here for what's best for Halifax County.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you're, you know, anyway.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And thank you for watching Halifax Oasis. And we'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you.